In step one, we're gonna set up the project. Go to Spotlight and type in terminal. We're gonna create our project based on Create React App, and we're gonna name it Hello Redux. So type in npx create React App and our project name Hello Redux. That will download our template project as well as the dependency, and it will name the project Hello Redux. Once the installation is complete, we're going to get a message that says happy hacking. So the installation went successful. Now change directory to the project we just created, cd hello redux, and to start the project just type in npm start. That will create our local server on port 3000, open up a browser for us, and show us the project that we just created. Step 2 is to install Redux. What we're going to do is we're going to install Redux using npm. So npm install Redux, and we're going to use the save dev flag. So it's going to add the Redux to our package.json file. At the time of writing, Redux is at version 4.0.5. To start off, we're going to create folder hierarchy. Create a new tab in terminal, and let's create our actions, reducers, and store folders. Make directory with the p flag only on the first one because we want to add any missing folders that we may have. So just create the actions, reducers, and store. Once you create that, what we're going to do is we're going to start with action. So go back into your IDE and create a new file and call it menuaction.js. The store is going to hold the state tree. So to change the state tree, you can only do that by omitting an action. It's a one-way direction. So the object describing what happened, in our case, we're going to create two states. We're going to create the user login and the user logout. Our reducer will have logic to when the user log in and log out. So what we're going to do to create all that logic on the code level is in the menu action, we're going to create two variables. Those are going to be enumeration. They're going to be of type constant, and one is going to be user login and one is going to be user logout. And then we're going to create also two functions that are going to correspond to those two states. Next up is our reducers. So go into the reducers folder and create a new file and call it menureducer.js. The reducer really specifies how the action transforms the state tree. So we write reducers. In our case, we'll have the menu that get updated on a state change. So create a new file called menureducer.js, and then on the code level, first we're going to import those two enumeration constant that we created, the user login and the user logout, and then we're going to create a default login state, and the default is going to be of is login false, because the user, when he first comes to our app, they're not logged in. We're going to create a switch that with an action that once it gets a user login case, it's going to change the login to true, and once it's going to get a logout case, it's going to change the is login to false. And is login is really the state variable that we're going to return, and we can use it throughout the app. Next up is creating our root reducer. Really, Redux, unlike Redux Toolkit, is unopinionated, so we can do whatever we want. But as our app is going to grow, we may create several reducers. So we're going to hold all those reducers inside a file that we're going to call root reducer. So just create root reducer.js and just import the combined reducer, so we can combine all those reducers together and import that many reducer we created, and then export the default, which will combine those reducers together. And this design, we can add reducers the root file, and the root file will serve as our table of content sort of for our reducers. We have our actions, we have our reducers, so now we can actually create a Redux store. So the whole state of our app is stored in an object tree on a single store. So inside of store, create a file called index.js, and on the code level, what we're going to do, we're going to import the create store functionality from the Redux project. We're going to import our root reducers that holds all of our reducers, and then we're going to create a constant called store that creates the store with our reducers. And then all we have to do is export the default store so we can use it around our code. Then in step 4, what we want to do is we want to invoke an action. How are we going to invoke an action? That's really the front-end implementation. We're going to use the window on the DOM document, and we're going to dispatch 2 events. I'd import the store that we just created and import the 2 actions that we created, and then set the window to point to the store so we have a reference to the store, and do the same for the show login and show logout action. So we have reference to the show login and show logout, and we can call them. And then if we do window.store.getState, we can see the state of the app right now, and then we can subscribe to any events that will happen and any function that's going to get dispatched, any state change that's going to get dispatched. So what we're going to do, we're going to subscribe, and we're going to put window alert once there is a state change. Once we do that, all we have to do is dispatch 2 events, one to show the login and one to show the logout, and then we'll see those in our alert box.